This is my second episode now of LadiesPoopToo. The theme of this week is picking up the check on the first date. And I feel like there's a lot of expectations around this. There's a much deeper meaning behind why I do expect a guy to pay on the first date, and we'll get to that. So in your perspective, are you someone who asks people out, or do you like to be asked out?
I'd say I would initiate like getting together. I'd probably be like, oh, there's this really cool thing coming up and I know you like that. Like, let them think that they thought of the idea.
Yes.
You know?
But like 90% of people I've dated, I've met online. So that's a little different because like it's kind of like whoever has like
Right.
the BDE, whether that's like big dick energy or big dog energy. For me, I tend to, in person, I tend to be the one to make the first move.
Okay.
I'm a little more submissive. I also have a really aggressive personality, so I feel like I'm kind of like faking it maybe online, like being a little bit more coy. But no, in like person, definitely making the first move.
I feel like if you like plan something out that far ahead, it kind of gives them the time to either, I don't know, do their research if they don't know you yet, which is so annoying, and like girls do that too, or bail.
When you do have time to prepare, do you do Instagram stalking or any kind of like?
Yeah. No, I don't want to know too much, but then I get really freaked out. I'm like, oh, if I see a girl in their most like recent 10 photos, I'm like, wait, why? Then what am I here for?
I guess it's like a good and bad thing. You want to stalk them just to get a little bit of background, but then, you start overthinking when you see like a girl in a picture with them at like Disney or something.
Yeah.
Like 3 weeks ago, you're like, what the hell? It's like, I know everything but that dude's social security number. Like, that's the only thing I'm not getting from him.
Is it like, do you find yourself getting caught? Like, if he's like, oh, Becca, this happened, you're like, oh yeah, I already know.
Sometimes if they're like, oh yeah, I work for whatever, I'm like, I already saw your LinkedIn. But
I feel like I like the people that don't have too much presence on social media anyway.
Yeah.
At the same time, you always like those super hot guys with abs and tan skin and white teeth, and you're like, where are they in real life?
Like, where are they in real life? But also, they're not really good at talking to you. There's one guy on Hinge, like he was gorgeous, he was beautiful, and he had like the six-pack, like everything. It turns out I already followed him on Instagram, probably because of that. But I talked to him on Hinge, and he had a picture of himself like at a festival, and like I like going to that kind of stuff, and so it's just like, wow, did I find a fellow raver on here? Like super bubbly, and he's just like, so where was that? And he's like, Coachella. I'm like,
I went alone.
Cool. And then I saw him on Instagram, and I'm just like, unfollow. So what's the best date in your mind? The best date and why?
So like when I went on a date with a man, our first date, they were super boring, but they took me on like a course dinner, and it was like 10 courses. And so even though they were boring, it was something I had never experienced.
Okay.
And like all of this new food and like new different wines and stuff. So I thought that was cool, and like it shows that you made an effort, right? Even like if you have nothing to say, like you hope that you would have something to say to me for 10 courses. You take someplace new. I mean, it wasn't cheap, so you thought something of me. And then with a woman, it was actually Nikki, because I feel like women play, or at least the women I've dated, I like them to have more of that like feminine touch. I take care of my grandma, so I was actually really late to my first date with Nikki. I was 3 hours late because my grandma had really bad separation anxiety. So I just thought that was like so sweet that she waited for me for 3 hours.
I've only really been on like one fancy date with someone that I wasn't exclusively dating.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we walked in, he's like, oh, we're gonna be sitting in like the wine cellar for our dinner tonight. Like he had it all like planned out, but now he's like married to his ex, so it's fine.
What would have you have done if he was like, hey, do you want to split this?
I would have been pissed because he like set it up. It wasn't like we were already together and he was like, hey, where do you want to go for dinner? It's like, hey, I want to take you to this restaurant.
Do you expect them to pay on the first date, or do you want to pay on the first date?
I prefer to pick up the tab. But if I'm dating a person that I feel like their sense, not their whole sense of worth, but they also pride themselves in catering and nurturing other people, I allow them to do that for me because it's such a small thing. And I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm secure enough in myself where I could say, like, you know I can pick up the tab. You are, believe me, but after one date with me, well aware that I can pick up the tab. But if you want to show me that you want to take care of me, if you're comfortable with this and you want to do this and this excites you, then do it. If someone is a little bit more shy, or I can tell that they're used to being taken care of, I will pick up the tab, but then watch what they do the next time.
Like, there's a guy that took me out and the menu was like, the cheapest thing on there was like $45. I'm not even kidding. And I felt bad. Like when I got there, he was like, all right, so what do you want? And I was like, I'm good with the bread. Like I'll always offer, like I always reach for my purse too. I'll never be the type of girl that's just like, just paying for the bill, like doesn't mean that that's the only reason why they care about me. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like that initial, like, I got it. To me, that means that he's going like above and beyond. Like he's like, I'm gonna take care of her. Like I got this.
I would be interested to like know what guys think. Like, do they expect something in return? Like just because he's paying for like the bill, does that mean like I gotta go home with him? Like, no. And that's why I get so mad at some of my friends and they're like, oh, well, he paid, so like I have to. I'm like, dude, no, you don't.
I guess it depends on the night, but like if a guy asks me out at a club and they're just like, you want to come back to my place? I'm like, no, I don't. Why? You're not going to be able to get it up anyway. I don't want to sleep in a stranger's bed. Are you going to feed me in the morning? Is there a place for me to poop in peace in the morning?
Dads is real.
Gas?
Dads.
Gags?
Dads. DADS. Day after drinking shits.
Yes.
I always make sure to understand where people are coming from, and it's really all about like love and making people feel like they're heard. And that could be, you know, something super big or something as small as just like picking up the check and what that means to them, you know? So.
But then there's other circumstances where like I love concerts. I love concerts so much, and that's an awesome date, I think, for me. Because I feel like the pressure's off, like you are together. There is that time before where you're like, hey, do you want to get food and drinks before the concert, like hang out a little bit. And then usually like I will offer to buy the tickets, and then they'll reciprocate usually and be like, oh, I'll get dinner and drinks before, like I'll get beers at the concert. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And I like that reciprocation.
I think everything in a relationship can be a really fun game. Right. So like with Nikki and I, when we started dating, our first date, because she asked me out first, I expected her to pick up the tab, but I was 3 hours late. So then I picked up the tab because that's just like considered. But then our second date, I remember from the first one, Nikki had told me like she hadn't done a lot of the things that I like to do. So I took her around the city and we did things that were kind of pricey, but I wanted to show her like, yes, I hear you, but I want to show you something different. And Nikki is masculine presenting, but I wanted to let her know that I was daddy. So I picked up the tab. So I think it really depends on reading the person you're with and seeing what works for them.
Thank you so much for being on the second episode of LadiesPoopToo. Thank you so much for doing the second episode. You have no idea how many times this happens. Thank you for doing the second episode of LadiesPoopToo. I hope everyone has gotten a little bit more educated on how ladies poop. Alexa, thank you so much. I cannot wait to go out together again.
No.
We'll just tackle this. So wait a minute, guys, are you taking us to these fancy schmancy places to impress us and get in our pants? Like Alexa, I'm curious to know what you think. To me, I mean, that's saying that he's willing to go above and beyond for me or for us, but I could be falling into a smelly trap. Prove me wrong, prove me right. Ultimately, who pays isn't what's important. What's important is compatibility. Compatibility. Maybe it has less to do with the actual money being thrown around or the implication of what it means to pay. And in the end, it's just really figuring out if we hold the same values. Or you're just a cheap ass. Either way, tune in next time. I'm gonna be talking to two of my really good girlfriends around the madness or magic surrounding dating apps. See you then.